justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, Black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any Black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up. Ain't gang if you let shit slide. Ain't bad if you gotta ride. Big guns and a lot of zip ties. Said she look like me, quit lying. Don't stop, 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 don't stop. We gon' spin and kill everybody, deep, everybody, and we're telling all. We gon' spin and kill everybody, deep, everybody, and we're telling all. Hey yo, all these bitches on my spent another bag on my. Nah, you ain't the new. Every whip heavy on it new. Shorty mad 'cause she ain't no. Pretty face with a Barbie doll. Another year, another Vince Lum. Neutralize. Trigger. Shoot. Fire. 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 Hey. And we're telling all. We gon' spin and kill. Deep. And we're telling all. I ain't tryna be buddy.
Welcome back into hour 3 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Shout out to that Nicki Minaj. Who's that? Nicki Minaj and Uzi? That's who's on that. That's from Peak Friday 2 that dropped this past Friday. Nicki is spitting on there. Reminder, she got bars. And there's some cuts on there. I'm not mad at it. Towards the end, I started getting a little like, I don't know. But I really enjoyed the first part.
That's interesting that you say that because I'm the reverse.
You're the reverse?
It was too much singing for me in the beginning.
Okay, I can see that. I can understand that.
I was like, is she trying to go the pop route? I'm trying to hear bars.
She always kind of sings, you know.
A little bit too much for me.
Just too much.
But, the second half of the album, you know what I'm saying? She was coming with them bars, so shout out. Mark my words. I don't know what the next single is, but that should be the next single.
Everybody?
100%.
Okay.
I could already see the dance videos, the TikTok videos.
Man, so much.
Already.
Right. And who's that? What's that sample from? The Everybody sample? I can't remember the name of that song. This is a big song too. I'm blanking on it. Shout out to Fahima in the chat. She says, Fat Joe hosted the BET Awards in October and hails from the Boogie Down Bronx, the birthplace of hip hop. Fat Joe is hip hop. He counts. I mean, listen, it's interesting to me because I know there's been some conversation around, rappers now coming out and evolving their stance from when they were younger. I mean, but that's what happens when you get old. You got to think about it. Most of these artists, when they dropped, were in their early 20s, late teens. Do you still think the same way that you did then? Are there still certain things that you would widely do or recommend from your youth? Probably not. They got to grow up.
Am I missing something with Fat Joe?
I don't know. I think there was conversation about the Latinos not being included in the celebrations and so forth. I think I caught some of it. The chat was moving fast.
It was.
So let's get into this clip. Let me give you the setup. It was a kind of legacy performance on Arsenio Hall, playing homage to hip hop, featured, like I said, Grandmaster Flash, who we know is, one of the early hip hop on wax pioneers, right? MC Light was there. Ice-T. I can't remember who else was on the show. But the topic did turn because DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, well, I don't think the Fresh Prince was there. I think it was just Jazzy. And he was on the ones and twos for the night. And somehow the topic came up about, I guess at the time, we would probably have called them commercial rappers. No sellout. Even what EPMD had a song about that too. Crossover. That was the name of the song about sellouts and stuff. I think it was just because it was the rebel, again, mirroring a lot of things that happened in the rock movement in the 70s and 80s. And so a lot of people were like, oh, the artists were just jealous of Hammer and things like that. I don't think it was just jealousy. I mean, I'm sure there were probably moments when they were like, oh, why is he on the cover of things? But I think they really believed in their hearts at the time that, you're either this or that, and there's no in between because the genre was still so young and developing. But let's hear what Ice-T had to say.
What Ice-T track in particular are you speaking of?
I can't name it right now. What's the name of this? It escapes me now. But what I'm trying to say here is like, all rap is not negative. What's so funny?
My whole thing is you got different kinds of music, right? So, you take Jazzy Jeff and French Prince. They do nice music, you know what I'm saying? And they know that. But they're my homeboys right there, right? But I look at them like, okay, like if that right there is more like a Walt Disney type thing. No, but wait a minute. Whoa. Wait a minute. See what I'm saying. See what I'm saying. Because Walt Disney is nice and it's clean. All right? Now, and I'm Stephen King.
Well, couldn't it be? Okay, cool. All right, but listen to this. Couldn't that be their lifestyle on how they
No. I'm not saying that in negative at all. I'm not saying it negative. I'm just saying for every kind of kid, there's a type of music. And as a parent, you have to know how to counter what I do with maybe something that's more positive. Me and Will always talk about, the differences in our music. I'm not saying that I'm good and they're bad. What I'm saying is, don't ask Stephen King to make a Walt Disney movie.
Okay. I can get that. I don't understand that.
So I think shout out to Arsenio Hall, because you think about it, like I said, this conversation was happening on late night network TV 30 years ago. It's still a topic that we're discussing. So, shout out to Arsenio for bringing and having these conversations at the forefront, before we had podcasts and things of that nature to discuss it all with. Andy, you giving it up? Let's give it up for Arsenio. Classic, right?
I think it's important that we do that because just listening to this clip, you could go ahead and say, I know it was late night TV or whatnot, but, you could say Arsenio was the original podcast.
Yep.
I mean, he broke a lot of artists at that time or whatnot. Of course, he's a brother. I don't think we give him flowers like that. The entertainment industry.
I think there was a period where, where he came back and he had that show that was on one of the streamers. And I think people were heavy into Arsenio. And didn't he host one of the verses or something? Maybe I'm mixing it up with something else.
I know his show came back for a while, but it just wasn't.
It's hard because the thing that made Arsenio so dynamic at that time, not only just that he was funny, but hip hop was coming into the national space at that time period. We know that there weren't a lot of outlets to see. It's not like now where you could go on Instagram any given day of the week and see what your favorite artist is up to and where they're at. Especially for hip hop artists, there weren't a lot of places for you to see and hear their thoughts, not just see them perform, but also hear a conversation with someone who understood a bit about where they came from and weren't going to speak to them as if they were ignorant or foreign, but just simply talk to them and allow them to share their thoughts and have conversations and things of that nature. The conversation that started that from that show was basically about the music, and hip hop was taking a lot of heat at that time period for its imagery. Now, some people, and I've seen this opinion quite a bit across social media, have stated that C. Dolores Tucker was right. If you don't know who C. Dolores Tucker was, she was a woman that came out against hip hop very strongly. She had political ties, and she and Tupac dabbled a bit. He dissed her on his record, and people are like, we should have listened to her. She was right. Hip hop is the worst thing that's ever happened, and blah 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 blah. I don't agree with that, but I also understand that when you are young, in that moment, you want to be able to express yourself. And at that time period, the things that were happening around the world and what we were being introduced to and what we were coming out of, I feel like we needed a voice. And did everything that birthed from it, was everything great? Of course not. Nothing is. But it's not right, but it's okay. That's the best way that I can put it, because hip hop also encouraged a lot of independence within us and spurned a lot of things. We can get on that for another time period. Urban Spencer says Nikki sampled "Move Your Feet" by Junior Senior. That's the name of it. Okay. Forensic Accountant says, we don't give Joan Rivers her props. She was Arsenio Hall's predecessor, and it was she who gave him his break. Joan had hip-hop artists on. I loved Joan Rivers. I don't remember. She had hip-hop artists on. I remember her having Vanity on, because that's when I discovered what Prince originally wanted to name her. And she did. She let Arsenio come in and sub that. So shout out to Joan for giving Arsenio the shot. I remember Arsenio Hall on Star Search. That's where I remember Arsenio Hall originally from. But look, the conversations that were had there were obviously important to hip hop. And Hammer's stance, I think you understand it, because they were really, really mean to Hammer, for lack of a better term. And I do think it impacted his career, because people stopped taking him seriously at one point in time. So we have a phone call, one of my favorites. Hi, Fahima. Welcome in. How are you tonight?
Greetings, Jill. I want to counter and say C. Dolores Tucker was wrong and Maxine Waters was right. Carol Moseley Braun had a hearing pretty much denouncing hip hop. And Maxine Waters, not only did she read in that hearing Snoop Dogg's lyrics, but she continued up until this day, Young, Gifted, and Black, which is a series that she did at the Congressional Black Caucus every year with standing room only. I was a CBC fellow in '95, and she had everyone there. I remember one year she had Andre Harrell. She had everyone there, and she continues to maintain this perspective that these young people voices are important. They should not be silenced, and they are articulating their lived experiences. So shout out to Maxine Waters, and may C. Dolores Tucker rest in peace, but she was wrong.
Well, shout out to Auntie Maxine all day, every day. Was another View Park resident at one point in time, obviously right around the corner from us here at the KBLA studios. I think that, it's a difficult conversation to unpack, because at the time we were just like, they don't understand, they don't understand. I think that there was extreme viewpoints in it and a lack of communication, as often happens over the youth and the ways that they try to express themselves, because, the older generation wants to preserve what was there, and that was the way. And, Gen X was breaking out with some things. Forensic Accountant says 2 things can be true at the same time. Mrs. Tucker and Congresswoman Waters were right. Okay.
Well, let me say this. With those of us who have an analysis, who have, been able to observe this thing from an intellectual perspective, we call this respectable Negro politics. And we had a conference at Howard that dealt with this issue, where it was the prior generation who the previous subsequent generation, and I'm sorry to say, they wanted to prove to white people that we and acceptance from them. And these young people, they didn't care. They weren't looking for acceptance from white people, and they were going to speak their truth. And it is simply respectable Negro politics.
Pull your pants up and tuck your shirt in and everything will be okay.
That's right.
Well, thank you for the call, Fahima. Again, it's a difficult conversation to unpack because hindsight is 2020, and there were some things that were probably spot on, and some other things they were misguided in. What I do know, and I mentioned this a lot, what got tricky for me. Well, that's a conversation for another day. I will just say that, again, there were some of the things I felt C. Dolores Tucker was on point with. Some of the things I wasn't quite sure about her motives. So that's, kind of where we'll leave that as far as the hip-hop conversation. But shout out to Hammer. The world would love to give you your flowers. I remember when Clubhouse was big during the pandemic, I sat in on a room and he came in, and that's how I actually found out how heavy he was in the VC space and was pretty shocked. And, people were kind of giving him his flowers, but I really would love to see him perform or someone else do a tribute to him. I mean, who could you get to do a Hammer tribute? Do you want to see, because it has to be a rapper, right? Because really the first people you're going to come to mind with is Chris Brown or Usher, and that doesn't really fit. Maybe Offset could pop lock. He's a dancer. I could see Offset giving us a good Hammer tribute, but I don't like it. And in my mind, it would make sense because Migos made, I guess, music that was enjoyable, not clean, but, enjoyable that you could still party to. So I don't know. That's a thought, though. I would love to figure that out. Okay, so listen, I told you that we would have a Diddy update. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into Tommie and Tamar and their social media battle over Tamar's man. I don't think you're supposed to get into social media heat over your man, because that's your man. But that's just me. When we come forward, we'll get into that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Single Moms Planet is a nonprofit organization dedicated to uplifting under-resourced single mom business owners and working mothers nationwide. Single Moms Planet offers comprehensive programs of financial literacy, business development, mentorship, and entrepreneurial training. They provide education, accountability, and hope. Single Moms Planet was founded by model, TV personality, and producer Nefertari Plessy. Nefertari felt firsthand the challenges that face single moms as she was raised by a working single mother. She learned that the most disadvantaged group in the United States are single mom families. According to the U.S. Census, 30% live under the poverty line. So she decided to do something about it, along with co-founder Cole Patterson. Their goal is to end the poverty cycle in single mother households through education, opportunity, and networking, providing family and child enrichment programs for under-resourced single-parent families. Single Moms Planet serves over 10,000 single moms and their children each year. Studies show that business development and financial literacy provide a positive environment for children and families, exposing them to new possibilities and opportunities. To attend one of their fun events, make a donation, or get more information, or if you need help as a single mom, please visit singlemomsplanet.org. That's singlemomsplanet.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So, I owe you a Diddy update. A little bit. We know all of the lawsuits that have come out since, what was that, Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving? Cassie started before that, but, they've rolled in every week since then. But Diddy launched maybe a year, 2 years ago, an e-commerce platform and company where he said he wanted to highlight Black businesses and showcase brands that were, maybe not getting the love from mainstream and bring them to the people. Well, so far, 18 businesses have terminated their relationship with his e-commerce company. We already know what happened with Revolt and various other things. Do you guys think that it's over for Diddy? It's quiet? Do you think that his career will be able to recover from this? I mean, we're in America. Everybody loves a comeback. But I don't know. It's looking pretty dark, and perhaps it should be. I'm just saying, doesn't seem like there's a lot of light right now for Diddy.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not looking good at all for Brother Diddy. Brother Love.
Brother Love. Well, he didn't use love when he said he was fighting back on that letter. He left that off. So, Love might have left the building.
And you know what's funny? When he posted that little thing on Instagram where he was talking about how he's going to, clean his name up or whatnot, I always like to go to the comment section and not that it means anything, but I do think that it does mean something. But somebody commented that when he signed his name at the end, it said Sean Diddy Combs. And somebody he basically was insinuating like it just sounded just all the way unprofessional. You should have just kept it Sean Combs as opposed to Sean Diddy Combs.
So I get that, but at the same time, what is everybody saying? Diddy's in this, Diddy in that. I mean, it took us 15 years to stop calling him Puff and to lock in on Diddy. And we have to think, why did he start calling himself Diddy? Because of the negativity attached to the name Puff Daddy after the shooting with Shine and Jennifer Lopez. That's why he stopped using Puff as his name. That's what happened, right? So we kind of saw that again because he knew what was going on behind the scenes and the negotiations that were happening when he got on this love movement.
That's what I've been saying. So it makes sense. Let me change my name right now. Let me be all about love because I know what's coming.
And, I do, because obviously Cassie's lawyers alluded to the fact that they had been, in conversations and initially could not reach an agreement. Speaking of those lawyers, right, they are also the same lawyers for the lawsuit that came up that included Harve Pierre, and the alleged victim said she was 17 at the time. They have petitioned the court to keep her name anonymous. They said that the media attention of this case would undoubtedly create a chilling effect on the plaintiff's future, and in similar circumstances should Ms. Doe be forced to disclose her identity. So I kind of wonder, I understand it, but is that fair? You are accusing someone of a crime from 30 years ago, where you're not just accusing them of assault, you're also accusing that they, transported you, you're underage. I'm all for protecting victims. I'm not saying that she should be outed, but I do think that it will raise some questions for people if her identity is kept a secret with these type of allegations that she is putting out there. But again, it's a civil trial, not a criminal trial, so we'll have to see what takes place. So, let's talk about Tommie and Tamar Braxton. I do not think at a certain point it's kind of appropriate to be beefing with another woman over your man on social media. First of all, these men are going to embarrass you, right? That's just it. They are going to embarrass you. So why put yourself up for the firing squad, girlfriend? So the two have been beefing ever since the Tamar Love and War concert, when Krishan Rock stepped out on stage and all of that happened, and Tommie dropped in her 2 cents. She felt like Tamar was clout chasing, right? And so, look, we're going to get into the words that were said within reason, because, there was some profanity, so I'm just going to share, but we're going to get into that on the other side. I just think that, ladies, we got to be ladies sometimes, even if we're not being ladies. This man ain't worth all this drama on social media, but we're going to get into that on the other side. You, of course, are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and sports up next.
Fire. We gon' spin and kill. Deep. And we're telling now. We gon' spin and kill. Deep. And we're telling now.
Low. Whoa. Better than every. My feeling niggas catch you. Down here no my. All my bitches get jealous. I'm all BBL, so they gotta 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just on my high. Be so hard that a might die.
We hope you have a safe and relaxing holiday season. Mask up and stay safe. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got a lot to talk about. And your voice is critical to all the conversation. Happy holidays.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. With Hanukkah starting, New York City police are beefing up security following a huge rise in hate crimes. Mayor Eric Adams says there's elevated security around public menorah displays and all lighting events to allow New Yorkers to celebrate Hanukkah safely. Adams, who is black, gathered with religious leaders at City Hall to call for unity and peace following a rash of hate crime incidents against Jewish and other religious communities. The number of hate crime and bias incidents has surged since the October Hamas attack on Israel. On the one-year mark of her release from a Russian jail, Brittany Griner is recognizing others who have been in her position. In a statement released from the basketball star and her wife, she highlighted Americans Paul Whelan and Evan Gershkovich. They are still wrongfully detained in Russia, among others. The Griners urged Americans to send a letter or call a representative about one of the many Americans being held away from their families this holiday season. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
At In-N-Out, our hamburgers are made with the highest quality ingredients, made fresh and by hand, made with a smile, and made to order just for you.
Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chucha's opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chucha's Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Together for some time, and I've been experiencing some kind of feelings that's changed and rearranged for the better. And I hope that you've been feeling the same way, and pray that you ain't running game. Hey, just what do you have to say?
As I sit here thinking about you, suddenly I feel ashamed.
And you do?
The feelings deep inside me suddenly begin to change. When I see your face and hear your voice, I seem to lose despair.
Listen,
well, you seem to know what I'm
that
saying.
was a vibe.
Well, let me just explain.
Hey,
more,
and the
okay?
polka dot era, I certainly was rocking my polka dot. Shout out to Sleepy Eye Kwame. He became a real producer after he was a producer then. That's not what I'm implying, but later in life, produced some hits for some people. So shout out to Kwame. Okay, Andy, where'd that come from? We going back to the 88, 89, sticking on theme?
I don't know what inspired me, probably from the first hour or whatnot, and I was just like, Kwame, only you. Let me go ahead and play that sometime later.
That was a bop. Shout out to Kwame. Hey, who has sampled that song? It's been sampled because, like I said, I feel like my problem with a lot of the modern artists is they go for the same songs. They pick up the same songs to redo, and that is part of too why we talk about the redundancy with not that we didn't do that in the early era of hip hop, but it was brand new then. I mean, that was a legitimate hit. I feel like there are songs that are legitimate hits that have cool beats that could be incorporated into something for a new track, right? And yet we still are going, I feel like, with the same, couple of samples over and over again. Like, even when you think about Lotto's Fantasy, right, which sampled Mariah's Fantasy, where they used a sample of Genius of Love by the Tom Tom Club. Like, how you going to sample the sample? I don't know. It can happen. I'm not saying I dislike all of that. I'm just pointing that out real quick with that. Look, Forensic accountant, you were heavy in the game back in the day. I already know. Shame on the girl at merry-go-round who tried to sell me a polka dot outfit back in the day. She was trying to get you lit, buddy. She was trying to get you right. What are you saying? That was the thing. Throw on some polka dots and a side slope Gumby, you would have had all the girls. I suppose you're going to say you did, but I'm just saying you would have had even more. That's just my thoughts on it. All right, Tommie Lee and Tamar Braxton. I'm telling you, I don't think it is healthy to have these social media beefs, especially over your man, on out in the open. Because one, you inviting us all into the group chat, and really you guys don't want us in the group chat. You don't want us adding our commentary. But however, this is what happened. So Tamar recently threw some shots at Tommie and was like, I know y'all lying if y'all thought I was gonna let my man go because he took some crackhead to a basketball game, right? Because her guy JR and Tommie, they went to Atlanta Hawks game courtside. But Tommie, she's not a punk. She clapped back. Miss Braxton, cut it out. I hurt your feelings, my love. I'm too grown, and I don't get high off internet drama. Excuse me. Yet here they are. It doesn't make a red cent, so I'll leave it at this, right? And she posted a thirst trap video in DMs from JR with her woman. You ladies, I think Tommie is in her 30s. Tamar's in her early 40s. Do you really want to be on the internet beefing over a man that has like 5 other children? And Tamar, he just embarrassed you online. Tommie even released a recording where she was secretly recording him, which right there says, hey, you probably didn't have the best intent with this situation anyway. Where he was saying that Tamar begged him to come back and all of these things. He's pillow talking. Because you got to think, he was in relatively obscurity until last March when the Queens of Court reality show came out. And, now he's a social media celebrity, essentially. And he's getting all of this attention. I just want us ladies, especially ones that, have transitioned to a certain era of life, to let that go. It's not serving you. And ultimately, Tamar, I should not say this. I'm not going to say that you probably won't end up with that guy because you guys got engaged really fast off of a reality show and already broke up, and he's already spilling your secrets to the next chick. Did he not learn anything? Did you not give him the course? It was a lot happening, a lot of, inappropriate things. Tommie says she didn't have sex with him. She said he just came over and nibbled some things, basically. That's what she said. Okay? Well, Jeremy Robinson, JR, that's his name, he took accountability for what he did. He posted on Instagram and said, as a man, I stand on being accountable. I never should have gone out with that lady. I never should have had conversations with her. I regret all of it. I should have never done that to Tamar. She is an amazing woman. I did some dumb stuff while I was single. I love her, and I'm glad I have my woman back. This too shall pass, and I'll spend the rest of my life protecting my queen. Okay. That's all I'm going to say on that. Just okay. But I really do think that social media has some of us in a trick bag, and we got to let it go if we want any hopes of having successful relationships, because that is a lot. That is a mess. Speaking of people wanting to set the record straight on social media, last week, Tracy Edmonds released a statement, she and Dion, that they had broken up, parted ways, right? But I guess the social activity started getting to her. We talked about this, that there was conversation that Tracy had wasted the last 11 years of her life by being with him when it doesn't end up in marriage. And, I have my thoughts on that. But Tracy wanted to clarify some things for the world. She said, I want to clarify that it was my decision to end the relationship despite any different narratives being presented. I've chosen to prioritize myself and my family moving forward and towards a future where I am valued, treated with honesty, and free to embrace the happiness and respect I deserve. The tone of that is slightly different. That's all I'm going to say to that. It's slightly different, Tracy. I believe you. I'm not saying that what you're saying is not true, because there's no reason for you to make that up. But the tone is different. What happened to we're friends and, we're always going to be there for each other's lives. Now I want to be respected and supported in a proper way. I don't know. Like I told y'all, though, word on the street, because the streets are talking, is that Dion has a new boo and that she's a little younger. And we'll see. So we will see what comes of it, but shout out to Tracy for straightening, up the record so that you guys basically don't have her messed up. Because that's basically what she was saying. Y'all got me messed up. Stop playing on my good name. That's not how we're going out. Okay? Okay. So let's see what's going on in the chat. Oh, there's lots of sorry persuasion girls. I'm not sure what's going on in the chat a lot. I implore you, if you ever have time, go check out the YouTube chat because there is a whole other conversation that takes place there and they are really into it. Really quick, jumping back to the Nicki Minaj album, I have to say that one of my favorites right off of the bat was Barbie Dangerous. And I feel like that's because I really love what it's sampled from. Armed and Dangerous, Notorious Thugs, which was Biggie and Bone Thugs and Harmony. That was a jam. So I appreciate Nicki coming off with that. I am curious because I heard who was it? Charlemagne the God was talking about the album was really good, but he questions the lack of rollout for her with her label. And so though there's been some, she definitely had the Gag City, the different collaborations with different, venues and things like that. But I do think it was a little softer. And one has to wonder if that is because Nicki is sort of fallen out of favor. There's new rap girlies. There's a lot of different rap girlies around. And though they may not have the pen game or the bars that Nicki has, they certainly are bringing something to the table. And that's a topic we're going to get into a little bit probably tomorrow because Nicki had some thoughts about what the labels are doing with these new rap girlies and how they're not succeeding. But that is for them. So here's the thing, you guys. If you have a favorite Nicki Minaj song of Pink Friday, let me know. I would like to know. Because the rap game is heating up for ladies. What I will say is notice, where's Meg? I told you. See, here's the problem, though, with dropping music that is, I guess, more substantial in topic. Not so, just braggadocious party or whatever. People listen once and they move on. Because nobody's talking about Cobra, are they? Not at all. Speaking of that, right? Okay, when we come forward, we're going to get into Pardi's comments. That's Meg's ex-boyfriend that she discussed in Cobra, said he cheated on her in her bed. He had some commentary about that. He's doing his interview tour too. All of that and more. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Every child deserves the best teachers, facilities, and academic programs to set them up for success. At Milton Hershey School in Hershey, Pennsylvania, we make that a reality for children from qualifying families who are looking for greater opportunities. Milton Hershey School enrolls students from pre-K through 12th grade from across the United States to live and learn on a beautiful state-of-the-art campus with all costs covered. Are you looking to set your child up for success or know a child who could benefit from Milton Hershey School? Learn more at mhskids.org/admissions.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions because we've got your black. Listen up. If you're one of the more than 100,000 California tenants who were rejected or delayed when applying for COVID rental assistance, you've got a second chance. Under the terms of a new settlement, California's Housing and Community Development Department agreed to audit its past denials. The program ended in March 2022, but the advocacy groups Alliance of Californians for Community Empowerment, Policy Link, and Strategic Actions for a Just Economy sued the department. According to the coalition's analysis of state data, the department rejected nearly 30% of all applicants. Under the settlement, the department agreed to clear all renters in the pipeline within 6 months. The settlement applies to anyone who sought assistance from the state's Housing is Key program before April 1st, 2022, whose applications is pending or was denied after June 6, 2022. Tenants who have questions about the status of their application can call the hotline at 833-430-2122. That's 833-430-2122. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know that every year, public school teachers spend nearly $500 of their own money for student supplies? At Donors Choose, we want students and teachers to have the tools they need for a great education. And now, more than ever, they need your help. Go to DonorsChoose.org and choose from teachers' requests that support reading, math, science, music, and more. Learn more at DonorsChoose.org.
Donors Choose. Support a classroom. Build a future.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. First of all, shout out to Forensic Accountant because he has had all the jokes tonight. He said that when I said Cobra, he thought about health insurance. He said, how old am I? He really did that. Listen, I understand. I remember Cobra. When you're leaving a job and they're like, hey, do you want to keep your health insurance? You can if you want to pay for it your own. And it was like, at the time, the last time I remember this coming up, it was like $800 a month. I was like, but if I don't have a job, how am I going to pay for this? Like, they'll pay for it for you for like 2 or 3 months and then out of there. At any rate, Pardi appeared on Angela Yee's podcast, Lip Service, where they talk about adult things and adult activities. And he shared that Megan saying that he cheated on her in her bed, not true, according to him. And when he revealed what he did do, he doesn't believe that it's cheating. So we're going to listen to what he said, and then I want to talk a little bit about that and see if you guys have any response, because I'm 50-50. Depends. We'll get into it. Let's hear what he said.
Everything, because on the Cobra song, she talked about you, in the same bed that she sleeps in, right? So you said it wasn't there. So what did happen?
Did you cheat?
That's not what happened. Put it like that. That's not what happened at all. What's cheating? No.
Don't do that.
No. Please. Because,
Don't you do that.
No. Because I really need to go there. I really do.
Did you get your
I'm
sucked
not
by
deflecting.
somebody
I'm not
else?
deflecting.
Did she catch you getting your sucked?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Did you have sex or you intimate with somebody else while y'all were in
In
a relationship?
Absolutely not.
You're saying you didn't cheat?
Absolutely. But this is my thing, right?
Okay.
Is hiding text messages cheating from your partner? Is that cheating?
Well, what are these text messages?
Well, I feel
If
like
it's something that you gotta hide from your partner, is it cheating?
right, and that's what I was going to say. I feel like anything, and I've answered this plenty of times. I feel like anything that you are doing that you would not do in front of your significant other, I feel like that's a form of cheating. Or Whether anything you don't want her doing.
Right.
Whether
it's
emotionally, physically, intellectually, if it's something that you're not going to do right in front of your partner or something that you wouldn't accept your partner doing from you, then yes, that's cheating. That's just my thought.
So did you cheat?
In that regard, I say so. You know what I mean?
So maybe it was inappropriate stuff
But
you
I
did.
will say
Inappropriate, correct, right?
Okay.
You're inappropriate, correct. But the way that it was painted, that would have me so mad. I'm like, this is the part of the relationship after everything that took place, everything that was like kind of, forgiven, everything that we've washed away. Especially when nobody asked for this. This is what you want to go with.
So here's my thing. I'm kind of with Pardi and I'm kind of with the ladies. If you're having text exchanges, conversations that you can't tell your significant other about, probably a red flag. But I don't know if I would necessarily call it cheating. And I know what emotional affairs are, right? And that's something too very real. But I don't know. I like a conversation that you maybe wouldn't have in front of your significant other. It could be like a flirty joke, right? Which is no big deal, something offhanded, but maybe depending upon if you're insecure, if you're one of those people that's like, no conversations with my man, no nothing, then yeah, it's gonna be a thing. So but I will say this, I find it hard pressed to believe that Megan was just that upset over text messages, but perhaps, I mean, those things can happen, but Pardi, that being emotionally involved with someone, and I'm going to assume, it might have just been a physical thing, whatever was going on with this person. But any type of pillow talking is going to be in violation. It probably would not make you happy if you discovered that she was having those type of talks with other people. So, you were just feeling intimidated because she was the bigger star or something like that. I don't know. But Pardi is on a tour. He will be on the Horrible Decisions podcast. That one is dropping, I believe, tomorrow. So, if there are more further details, of course, we will let you know. Listen, VIPs, thank you for checking in. As always, we appreciate it. I have interviews coming up. Are you married to medicine fans? Because I have interviews coming up with Sweet Tea, that is the newest cast member, Letitia Lunsford, and also Dr. Simone. And as I mentioned, later in the week, interviews with Fantasia, Taraji, and Danielle Brooks from The Color Purple, and something else that I'm missing in between there. Maybe American Fiction? Yeah, I think so. So we are in for a packed week. Thank you for rocking with us as always. I hope that you are on your way to an even more amazing night. And you are clocked back in here tomorrow at 9 p.m. Pacific time for RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. On the other side, the best of KBLA. Have a great night.
The fireplace is burning and the girlie is warm. Time to make my move, so gently I kiss her, whisper in her ear and tell her that I miss her. She might try to pop the boyfriend jump, but I don't really care because I know he's a punk. I'll stop him like a roach if he tries to approach. He can't get close cause I'm the one who wrote the book of romance. So come on, take a chance. You don't need a long look, all you need is a glance. If you want to get warm, in my arms you belong. You have a problem, have a solve 'em, nothing can go wrong. When